how you look at it. Well, it raised it to 486,000. And also, fake agency scandal makes the news this morning. Reps grill accountant general today. Hoodlums invade Oshun INEC office, cut away PVCs. What kind of report is this? I don't even know how to react to this. Hoodlums invading Oshun INEC office, cut away PVCs. The next thing is why. And oh God have mercy. Finally, from the Punch, Obasanjo's role in Obi Kwankwaso ticket sparks row. Well, that's it from the Punch. Moving to Daily Trust. What's Daily Trust saying? Well, Daily Trust leads with how gunmen abducted Kebbi High Court judge. That's the story. That's a Kebbi State High Court judge was abducted, and the Daily Trust is giving us an expose here, and it's on page 3. That's a sad one, especially for his family. I hope he returns soon. And also, Islamic board to spend 18 billion naira on staff. Well, that's the story. Soldiers selling uniforms to terrorists arrested. Good one. Votes will count. Votes will count. INEC has been shouting since yesterday. Votes will count. INEC vows as voter registration ends. They're making us a very big promise. That's good. You'd also see here on Daily Trust a breakdown of local government ecological fund. This was something big a couple of years ago. I remember as a journalist, we were on this matter for a couple of weeks. Well, this one gives us a breakdown from May 2025 to April 2026. And it also says, despite billions allocated for flood control, communities continue to suffer. Well, thank you, Daily Trust, for this. You would also see the toll of flooding, NEMA reports from November 4, 2025, who were affected, 2026 flood risk, analysis, high-risk areas. But again, why? And, the big question here is flooding. Where is local government's 82 billion naira ecological fund? I hope it doesn't turn to that response from that song, if you ask me. Now, who I go ask? I really hope it doesn't turn to that, but that's why we're here. Where is the money? Follow the money. Away from that, ex-defense spokesman demands 250,000 naira salary for soldiers. They deserve even more. If you ask for 500k, just give it to them. NDLEA is back again. NDLEA intercepts 10 billion naira drugs at Lagos Port. NDLEA intercept 10 billion naira drugs at Lagos Port. And you need to see that story in depth. On page 41 of Daily Trust, it also has other busts as well. Finally, from Daily Trust, 4 civilian JTF personnel, a sad one, killed in Katsina in line of duty. May their soul rest in peace. All right, we move to Daily Sun. Is 8:36. Clean Beat 91.5 FM Abuja. The round table. Daily Sun leads with governor's push for state police takeoff. It also says get state houses of assembly speakers to stand by for immediate concurrence. Express worry over effect of National Assembly annual break. Electioneering. Hope to get quick presidential assent. All of this on page 6 of Daily Sun. We're moving on. Tracker is here, still making the rounds, raising alarm. Tracker raises alarm as federal government budgets 962.83 billion naira for SUVs empowerment. How do you react to that story? Well, it says allocation exceeds combined budget of 7 key ministries. That story is on page 25. Moving on, move fast on AI or miss out. IMF tells Africa. Warns delays could cost region 4% GDP boost. Okay, so let's embrace AI now. That's what IMF is saying. Now or never. It's now or never. AMCON puts Intel up for sale. Eyes strategic investors. If you're an investor, you should eye this one. AMCON puts Intel up for sale. Eye strategic investors says 165 billion naira recovered from debtors in H1. Well, still with Daily Sun budget, federal government moves to appease National Assembly members. Are we appeasing the gods now? What's going on? Well, approves implementation of 1 billion naira for each senator. 500 million for reps. I'm going to zoom into this so I'm sure what I'm saying. Says budget federal government moves to appease National Assembly members, approves implementation of 1 billion naira for each senator, 500 million naira for reps. I zoomed in so that you hear the amount very well. For emphasis, it's your job to follow the money as citizens. Finally, Enugu emerges Nigeria's fastest improving state. Namani, Nas Caucus hail Governor Mba. That's for some good news. All right, moving to this day newspaper. It's 8:38. This day begins with Obi unveils 2027 agenda, vows to personally lead war against insecurity, promises production-driven economy, lower cost of governance, tougher anti-corruption fight, says he will serve only 4-year term if elected. 4 years is enough, if you say so. Away from that, Mba's Enugu emerges Nigeria's fastest improving state in Phillips Consulting Index. Well done to Enugu. Ranks first with plus 1.15 score ahead of Jigawa Abia. Wow. Report credits governance reform, fiscal discipline, institutional capacity. Southeast tops regional performance. Amazing. Katsina, Imo, and Edo are bottom of the table. Ex-Senate President Namani Nas Caucus hail governor, says Mba, poster boy for good governors. Well, if they do well, let's give them their flowers. This is a good one, a very good one. And finally, from this day, Maria Dangote explains why company picked London over Dubai for cement listing. Yes, I think I listened to that interview a bit. It also says site faster share sales, less tedious rules. Fatima also says group's $100 billion vision 2030 on course. And that's it from this day. All right, because of time, let's move to Vanguard. Vanguard leads with 2027 polls. Obi Kwankwaso's ticket, best chance of winning Babache Lawal. And it also says ex-SGF not worth dignifying with response, says APC. I would have been shocked if APC didn't respond, trust me. Tinubu lacks capacity to lead Nigeria, says Peter Obi. Promises to unite, secure Nigeria. Okay. A photograph here, Senate leadership visits Tinubu. He's been having a lot of visitors these days. Well, it's the election year. That's expected. Moving on, U.S. warns Nigerians with dual citizenship against traveling on foreign passport. Article 4, Tinubu's borrowing spree amid 7.98 trillion naira oil windfall. And terrorists abduct Kebbi High Court judge. That's a very sad one on page 6 of Vanguard. Still with Vanguard. Hardship, low awareness threatening PPP. 92% of accounts dormant. That's on page 11. Soldiers should earn 250,000 naira monthly, ex-defense spokesman. We'll look at the budget, sir, and we'll get back to you. 2027 presidency, why we adopted Tinubu. Adeleke accord party leaders. And court orders army to reinstate, pay 70 soldiers. That's all we're looking at right now with the Nigerian dailies. Let's quickly go for a quick break. When we return, we'll make contact with our guests. To stay with us, still the round table on Clean Beats 91.5 FM Abuja, where music meets clarity. We'll be back.
The news that matters, the music that lifts you, and the voices that speak your language. This is Modern Radio. This is Clean Beat 91.5 FM Abuja.
Big man, how far now?
I do. Wetin dey sup?
Abeg, you get one stick for there?
Stick you say? Wetin you mean?
You know now. Why you dey form like say you be said?
Asal now, Saint Kemi? No.
No how you know dey use guy. You dey always calm. Nothing dey shake you.
No be so. I just get something wey dey always calm me down.
Swear. Plug your guy now, haba.
Sure thing, no ya take.
Now music they play for you, my G.
Na so, no be any kind cha, na the clean selection of songs from Clean Beat 91.5 FM and all the sweet talks from them OAPs.
Only that?
Yes, so, na the way be that, my guy.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.
Well, welcome back. It's the Roundtable on Clean Beats 91.5 FM Abuja, where music meets clarity. My name is Itsoha. Well, today we're looking at something really interesting, and we begin with a little bit of story and a background here. Well, the collapse of Nigeria's ginger industry over the past 3 years is one of the most dramatic and most instructive disasters in our recent agricultural history. Now, just to give you a lay foundation, Nigeria was one of the top ginger producers on earth, supplying nearly a fifth of the world's ginger, prized not for quantity but for its rich flavor. Then in 2023, a fungal disease called ginger blight swept through Kaduna and neighboring state. With a single season, it destroyed 85 to 95% of the national harvest. Production crashed from over 800,000 tons to under 100,000. That's a huge drop. Now, farmers lost more than 12 billion naira, and our ginger export, once earning billions, fell for the first time over to virtually zero. But here's the deeper question we're asking today. Why did one disease bring down an entire national industry? Nigeria had no ginger seed bank, no disease-resistant varieties ready, no backup, no safety net. And when you have no diversity to fall back on, a single blow can be fatal. So today, with our expert who's joining us from Canada this morning, we ask, what does the humble ginger teach us, about protecting our food, our farmers, and our future? Dr. Andrew Chibuzor, iloh, good morning to you. What time is it in Canada at the moment?
Hi, good morning. It's 4 a.m.
Oh my God! And
I have
I've
to wake
I've
up. I
I've
have to
held
be
you
sleep.
I've held you captive for about an hour. We're so sorry.
Yeah, but it's okay. We are all Nigerians, and would always be awake to do stuff for our country, Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Quite quite an interesting topic you've got there. So I'm ready to dive in.
You're ready to dive
when you're
in.
ready.
All right, so let's begin. Take us back to the very beginning. What exactly is ginger blight, and how did it spread so fast and so completely? And why were farmers so utterly defenseless against it?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I like to let our viewers know that our listeners know that diseases are normal. Every living thing would face disease, but it's our ability to resist those diseases that keeps life going. Ginger blight. A blight is it was a fungi disease that attacked ginger in Nigeria. This is not the first time we've had this kind of epidemic. If you can recall, there was a time we had what they call tomato Ebola.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah, if you remember tomato Ebola, it was a time, I think it was in the 2000s. It wiped out all, it was Tuta Pulata, It wiped out all tomato species in Nigeria and even in Africa, in West Africa. Now, the same thing will happen to any other crop, that one particular disease will come and you just, these plants or these crops will just, fall victim of it. So ginger is not an exception.
Okay.
To it, but it gives us, we from the biodiversity angle, some form of worry, because it means that many of our crops do not have resistance, and we cannot have resistance if we don't have the diversity. Because what it means that genetically we are not diverse. That's exactly what it means. I give an example of the tomato Ebola.
Yes.
One of my studies in those days shows that the tomato diversity in Nigeria was just 2. In as much as you see different sizes of tomato just tomato this, tomato that,
Nasarawa, yes.
this size of tomato, all of them different beautiful tomatoes. But the diversity, the genetic diversity of tomato was very, very minimal, meaning that all the tomatoes we see came from one root, one source. So they all shared one genetic makeup, and maybe that genetic makeup was not resistant to tomato Ebola. So when tomato Ebola came, it wiped out all the tomato. So in that my study, one of my major recommendations is that we need to go back to the wild and breed more resistant varieties. And if the diversity of genetic diversity, because when we say diversity could be phenotypic, that is different colors, different shapes, that is phenotypic diversity. But we are talking about genes, the genetic diversity. We need to increase the genetic diversity so that we can have more resistant varieties, more resistant crops. And likewise, the same is happening to that's happening to ginger. It only means that all the ginger we have been planting are all coming from one or the same genetic diversity. So there's little or no resistance to the ginger blight. And when it came, it wiped out every ginger.
Okay.
And how can you drop? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm listening.
I'm glad you mentioned, you made a link with tomato Ebola, but somehow it feels like
Yes.
we've been able to, get past what happened with the tomatoes. How come we still haven't, made progress with ginger the last couple of years? Because, there's been a flood of tomatoes in the market, so it looks like we got past it. But for ginger, it's still relatively expensive because of, the quantity available in the market.
I wouldn't say we've started breeding more tomatoes. The same thing, and again, remember that the science of plants differ. You cannot compare the breeding science of tomatoes with the breeding science of ginger. Ginger is a root crop.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So, and the tomatoes are breeded by their seed. So their breeding science is quite different.
Okay.
Yes, they're quite different. But what I think is happening to ginger for now is that it's still in the pipeline. For example, I know some set of peoples that are still trying to see how you can do a lot of combinations to get new resistant varieties. We are still looking at how we can go into our genetic bank and to see which of those ginger we have stored over the past years, that we could bring back into farming. So these are some of the techniques that scientists are trying to use, to see how we can overcome this predicament that has befallen our ginger sector.
Okay,
over
so
the years.
how does biodiversity contribute to healthy and productive farming? How will it do that? And why is biodiversity particularly important for ginger, most especially?
Yeah, thank you very much. The biodiversity is biological diversity. How diverse any living thing is. The more the merrier. That's what they say in English, right? So it's also like that. If we have a little of everything, you find out that there are some that will still possess the resistant genes. But if the diversity, especially like in ginger, is low, right? You find out that the resistant genes that you're looking for will not be there. So it is our responsibility to continue to maintain a high amount of genetic or biological diversity so that we increase the amount of resistance to pests and diseases we can, or the immunity. Let's use for us humans. Yes, the immunity. Yeah, in human beings we say immunity, but in plants and animals we say resistance to diseases. You know, yeah. So the biological diversity plays an important role in the increase of resistance to crops, and in this case, our crop of discussion, ginger.
All right, that's very interesting. All right, so still looking at biodiversity, we're looking at the ginger crisis, why biodiversity matters for food security and economic growth. Now, just to give us a sense of what has happened the last couple of years, how have these challenges impacted farmers and local communities? And, we've seen a lot of farmers move from planting ginger to turmeric. They've diversified into other crops. How has this impacted the market, especially the economy?
Yeah, that is one of the problems of when a disease affects a particular crop like that. The people lose interest in the farming of that crop and diversify. So you find out that there are less farmers, ginger farmers, more farmers for turmeric, as it is. So, and the less farmers of ginger means less production, high costs in the market, and less ginger, because ginger it's very difficult now to see ginger.
Yes.
Those good old days.
Yes.
Those good old days that ginger is everywhere. And even if you see it, it's expensive. So, but we will. I am very optimistic that we will get over it. Like I said before, what we're trying to do is to still go back to our genetic banks to all those, because what in the genetic bank, what we do is to save ginger production year in, year out. So when we go through the lines, or the ginger lines, we'll be able to bring out ginger lines that are resistant to these blights.
Does Nigeria have a ginger bank, genetic bank rather?
We have a genetic bank. Yes, we have a gene bank.
How viable is it?
They have a very good gene bank in Ibadan. The Nigerian gene bank, the national gene bank in Ibadan, it's very good. It has gotten international funding over the years, so that I know, because they have done a lot of work and they are still doing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, a lot of people link increased vulnerability, declining biodiversity to increased vulnerability to crop diseases. Are these two connected?
100%. Yeah, there's a big connection. Low biodiversity, high increased disease intake, reduction in the production rates, farmers disappearing from planting ginger, for example, into other things, low productivity, low self-esteem, because you can't expect a farmer who has spent millions of naira into something and at the end gets zero or nothing, 10 or nothing in that production to continue with that. And frustration comes in, so a lot. So there is a web. It's a very big web issues. So if the diversity is not good, a lot of bad things in the web. So if the diversity is good, then everything also works out well. So
That's
they are
good.
all interrelated.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where does pesticides or where do pesticides come into play with other chemical inputs? Can it play a big role when it comes to biodiversity?
I'm not a I'm not a fan of pesticides because pesticides naturally kill our biodiversity. That today we are having bee decline in bee in the world today is because of pesticide use.
Okay.
The high amount of pesticides use have killed or driven away our bees. And with our bees gone, pollination is reduced, and as pollination is reduced, food security is also equally affected. You know, so I will not be a fan. I'm not a fan of let's start using chemicals. Let's start pouring chemicals on our ginger so that you'll be able to kill up the fungi. But I think biological control mechanisms are better. You know, there are actually some plant-based materials that also could act as as fungicides. You know, neem, for example. But what amount of there was a ton of neem powder or neem liquid would you use to help protect your ginger farm? So I'm of the opinion of breeding more resistant varieties.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm tempted. I'm tempted to ask you this question, but I'll say it anyway. Now, crop rotation, mixed farming, soil conservation, does it help in any way to reduce outbreak?
Oh yeah, these are the basic agricultural or agronomic techniques
Exactly.
that could also boost crop resistance. You know, to all this kind of fungi attacks. You know, so of course, even if we get the best ginger that is resistant to the blight today, and you just do not put some good form of agro ecological practices, farm practices, they will still die. They will still be affected. So everything has to to be simultaneously put in place, for us to bring ourselves back into the ginger world.
Okay. Now, when there is loss, for instance, our production moved from over 800,000 to 100,000, and when that kind of loss happens for a lot of farmers who moved to planting other crops because they lost billions of naira. Now, what lessons can these farmers take rather than just running away totally from planting ginger, but looking for ways to improve on crop production? Eventually, that will lead to a better economy.
Well, I have over the many years been talking about agricultural insurance, but I to me, this is 2026.
Yes.
I've not still had a headway on agricultural insurance. You know, who is going to be responsible for? Are the insurance companies going to be responsible for payments of crop failures or crop losses? You know, I've still not gotten a head, wrap my head around it. You know, but I think these insurances could help. Cushion the effects of all these crop failures on farmers. You don't expect somebody to have invested millions of naira and at the end does not get anything. It's so frustrating, and it might also even drive the person out of farming in general. Those ones that even try to diversify to other crops are cracked with 9 lives, and they've only exhausted like 2 or 3 of their lives, So, but some naturally die, get frustrated. Some would even want to commit suicide because they even collected loans and so, to do these things. So I think government should increase or keeping our agricultural insurance system in Nigeria. That's what I feel. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. Also, how has this crisis affected Nigeria's non-oil export earnings? You have an idea?
Well, you answered the question yourself. We've gone from 80 billion to 10. That's a lot. That is a reduction already. Going from number one in the world to nothing.
And we've consistently been that way for the last 3 years.
So those statistics don't lie. Those statistics are shows that we're in the negative. And it's a problem. And the thing there is that Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria is a blessed agricultural country that this kind of horrible statistics might not really show. If I can tell you, if there are some countries, with this kind of statistics, that country is gone. Because this is they are bad statistics. So I'm happy that we're having this kind of conversation, because it all starts with this kind of conversations, to let the public know what crisis we are facing, and everybody could come together, sit and see how we can tackle this very thing we think is minimal, but it's not a minimal crisis, and see how we can sort it out.
All right. So
the fact remains that ginger is not there in the market.
It's not there. Yes, I know how much I buy ginger. I think it costs about 3,000 to 4,000 naira in the market, depending on if the seller is in a good mood.
Yes, yes, of course.
Exactly. All right. So
and what makes it difficult is even the kind of breeding system. Like I said, you breed from the roots.
That's interesting to note. Now, I also want to see a nation like ours move from response to precaution. Now that we're having the conversation about biodiversity, in what ways can we, put forward precaution or cautionary measures so we don't have this kind of loss again?
Yeah, we need to breed more. We need to increase our biodiversity systems. We need to know how many kind of ginger do we have in Nigeria? What is the genetic makeup of our ginger? Because these are the simple but very important questions we need to ask. If we ask and we get answers to that, we will be able to solve issues around outbreaks. Because, like I said, the reason why that ginger blight killed off almost all the ginger is that the ginger had little or no resistance to it. And because so if we know that we have these ideas of we know that this particular ginger is variety is resistant, this particular ginger is not resistant but it's not resistant but high yield, we can able to breed both. Both breed the one that is resistant with low yield and the one that is low resistant with high yield, to come up with a hybrid that has both. So that's what we need to do. So that we need to also continue to fund the scientists that do this kind of work, because this is not a one-stop work. It's a constant, continuous research to come up with crops that are resistant to many of these outbreaks.
Okay.
The fact remains that outbreaks will continue, but our ability to constantly breed new varieties that are resistant to all these incoming outbreaks matters a lot.
All right. If you want to be part of the conversation, please do so. You can give us a call via the number 090 3000 6915, making your contributions. Give us a call on 0903000 6915. And for WhatsApp, if you want to send a message, is 0903000 5915. 0903000 5915. We still have Dr. Iloh joining us via telephone this morning. It's almost, I think it's past 4 a.m. where he is right now. So we want to see how we can quickly rush through the remaining questions so we can let him go to bed. My question, I like how you mentioned research institutions and research institutes. You also, talked about a biodiversity lab in Ibadan that is doing so well. Now, more research. You talked about more research in developing disease-resistant ginger varieties. Now, where does the government come in at this point, and how can other research institutions key into this to ensure that, we totally blot out this issue?
Yeah, it's one of the primary responsibility of government is to take care of its people. It's up your hand. So, and if the farmers are also part of the Nigerian people, and I know that federal government should put more efforts in the agricultural sector. A lot for agriculture, because without the food security, without food systems, we will not be there. And since government is talking about economic diversification, agriculture should be one of the main economic diversifying factor in Nigeria. So more funds should be put into research on some of these things. Just the way we still put research, like I always tell people that we've not seen the last of COVID. COVID will still come, but it doesn't stop people from still working in the background. There are a lot of research working in the background to look at new emerging drugs for emerging diseases. So as emerging diseases also in plants or animals are coming, researchers are out there also doing that. They should be doing their job to find out new plant varieties.
Yeah.
That will stop that. So government should fund it. Government, not just government. We should have even the price. It should be a public-private partnership thing, because food is not. There's nothing like food for government people.
It's for everybody.
For private place. It's food for everybody.
Yes.
So it should be everybody's. It should be everybody's concern, to fund research that will be beneficial to mankind. So I think it's everybody's
concern.
priority.
Okay, now
Yes.
for a country trying to diversify its economy beyond oil, do you think we're putting enough enough efforts to grow the agricultural sector enough? With I remember in 2019, I almost invested in ginger. It was a big thing, in the early, late, from 2010 to 2019. I remember everyone was talking about ginger export, how we can key into it, how much you're going to make. I somehow missed that business deal, right? But a lot of friends that I know made a lot of money from the export. So for a country who is looking to diversify beyond oil, are we taking agriculture seriously to achieve that goal?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so, because if we are, a crisis like this ginger crisis that's spanning over 20 years now should have been solved. That's my thinking. Yes, it's on paper that agriculture is one thing that can diversify this economy. It's clear, it's black, it's 1 + 1 is 2. But have we really taken it seriously? Have we really taken it seriously? And the answer is no. And I wouldn't want to go into the underlying factors, that has not made up, but we have not, because there are a lot of things we need to put in place, from post-harvest losses to farming, to land ownerships, to security. So there's a lot that needs to be in place if we really want to diversify our economy via agriculture. There's a
Okay.
lot.
There's a lot we need to do. All right, let's end on hope, Dr. Iloh. What gives you confidence that the Nigerian ginger and Nigerian agriculture, what gives you confidence for it to be broader? For example, can we have a comeback? Can we come back stronger and more resilient?
Yeah, I believe we can. We can because we are learning a lesson from the past, and when we learn lessons from the past, the future becomes stronger. The future becomes brighter. I think we will come back, and when we come back, we'll come back better and stronger, better with beautiful, resistant varieties that can stand the test of diseases, stand the test of time. Yeah.
All
So
right.
yes, I think we can.
We can. And also, what's the single most important thing that needs to happen, for that to be true?
We must protect, we must conserve our biodiversity, our biological diversity. Whether it's biological diversity for plants, whether it's biological diversity for animals, whether it's biological diversity for insects, we must have conservation as our watchword in every sphere of our society.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Iloh. Let's allow you go to bed now. Thank you so much for making out time from your bedtime to be with us.
Yes. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And hopefully
Appreciate
we get to, meet physically when you return.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. Have a good one. It's Clean Beat 91.5 FM Abuja, where music meets clarity. We've been speaking with Dr. Andrew Chibuzor Iloh, who is a Nigerian biodiversity scientist, a molecular ecologist, and conservation researcher. He's a professor and principal research fellow at the Biodiversity and Climate Research Laboratory of the Shedder Science and Technology Complex in Abuja. Well, his work focuses on plant biodiversity, conservation genetics, climate change, and sustainable agriculture, with an emphasis on protecting Nigeria's indigenous plant species and improving food security. Dr. Iloh has published extensively in the fields of the molecular ecology and biodiversity conservation and has received international recognition, including an Alexander von Humboldt International Climate Protection Fellowship. Well, again, thank you so much. We've been having an interesting conversation. We looked at the ginger crisis, why biodiversity matters for food security and economic growth. And so far, what he said is, yes, it might look like we're not making a lot of progress, but if we continue to do what we have to do with the government, putting in efforts to more research, then it's something that we can get over very soon. I still remember a friend of mine talking about how, it was a lot of money investing into ginger. Somehow they try to convince me, but I don't know. I was just a little bit skeptical, about it. I might have made a lot of money before the 2023 unfortunate incident happened, but I know a lot of people invested. There was a lot of money. People were smiling to the banks. So let's have that again. Let's have people investing into agriculture and also reaping the benefits of it. That's the beauty. That's the joy of every investor, every investment, that it yields profits. That's what we want to see. And, my heart goes out to the farmers who, endured losses for the last couple of years. It can be crazy. And from what Dr. Iloh mentioned, a lot of them had to, they took loans they couldn't repay. There was a lot of depression at the time. Some persons had to close farming. Some of them diversified. But even if you diversified, it's because you had access to funding. So let's also look at that. Let's the government also look at that to see how these people can come back, to grow other crops as we look at even more research. Well, that's the much we can take for the roundtable this morning. We appreciate you so much. A few messages coming through. Let's see what we have here. Well, this one's coming from Jude. Oh my God. Okay. When I saw Jude, I was like, which Jude again? But I have a Jude here who's my head of digital. But this one says, Jude is sending a message from Wuste, and he says, biodiversity is something I have been talking about for the last couple of years, but it looks like we're not paying attention. Well, thank you very much, Jude from Wuste, for that. This one's coming from Frederick. Frederick says, well done, on to your guest. He is a professional. As a scientist myself, biodiversity is very important, but it looks like we're not paying attention. Like, so the conversation of not paying attention has come back again. We're not paying attention to the agricultural sector. We can make billions of dollars from agriculture and not even look at oil, but somehow the government feels oil is the best way to go. Well, hopefully with this interview, they would see that there's a lot that can be made from the agricultural sector. But we appreciate you so much for your messages, all right? Thank you. It's 9:18, and that's where we end it today. Remember that at 10 o'clock, we've got the news coming through at exactly 10 a.m. right after. We've got Clean Slate, moving on. That's with Efe and Henny. It's a roundtable with Itohan. Remember, we're back again tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. exactly. We look at the covers of newspapers and we get to the conversation for the day. We have an interesting interview tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. We have a director general joining us live tomorrow. So keep a date. It's a very interesting one. You don't want to miss it. Tell one, tell all to join the conversation from 8:30 a.m. We've confirmed that guest already since last week. It's been a hold down because we want to serve you better. Thank you so much. My name is Itoha. It's Monday. Have an amazing day and keep it here on Clean Beats 91.5 FM Abuja, where music meets clarity. Good morning.